Okay, I want to do one more video today. I'm not sure if I really want to do this video, but I'm going to record it, and then if it goes out, we'll see. So, this is a martial arts video, and there's all this talk about resistance training. Nothing wrong with that. That's good, right? You want to have resistance training. But one of the big problems that, as I see it, is there's been something missing. And I'm not going to bury my lead. I'm going to tell you what it is. And it's judo. Yes. So what am I saying? Okay, so there's a guy. I don't want to call him out or anything. I thought about that because I could probably get a lot of clicks. And was an Aikido sensei, right? But he's not a fighter, or he wasn't, right? He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't training with people who are fighters. He really doesn't know how to take the theory of Aikido and make it practical. And a lot of people, they've kind of lost that. You're saying, you know, you're a little higher in yourself, Dave. But I'm just telling you, Aikido can be practical. Aiki-Jujutsu, the old style Jujutsu, can be practical. He went on and talked, he was like, okay, I've kind of gotten the mileage about trashing Aikido, so now I'm going to trash Bujinkan Budo Taijutsu, which I did for like 11 years. I'm going to trash that now, right? You don't do resistance training. Okay, yeah. A lot of people aren't doing resistance training if they're not fighters. When I was doing judo and I was trained by my dad, who was it was judo, and it was Takada-Yu, Aiki-Jujutsu, and some Bansuhan, Hapkido, and all the stuff. Very early on, it was like informal training. When my dad was teaching me that stuff, I would then go out, right, and deal with bullies, right, and deal with in roughhouse and stuff like that, and use the stuff and kind of test it out to some extent. And that's what used to be done with this old school, this Aiki-Jujutsu, right? What did people do with Aiki-Jujutsu? What did warriors do? Bushi. What did they do? I'm not, listen, I'm not a martial arts historian, but what did they do? Right? They learned what they learned, and then they went into battle or did bodyguarding or whatever they were doing, depending upon the time period. And they would take their theory, right, that was, formalized or eventually was formalized. They would take their theory, and then they would go out and do practical application. And they would find, right, that there's a difference between theory and practice. And people do, you have to do things different. Like when you're doing a traditional martial art, you fight naturally, right? You fight naturally. You don't fight like, that's not how you fight. That's teaching you proper body mechanics and stuff like that. So that's what people would do. They would go out, right? They go to the war, and if they survived, they'd come back. They'd have some more information. They'd have some experience, and they would get better. Well, I know at least since the 1950s, when my cousin Bill was training with he some people say Oba Ichio or Ichio Oba, however you want to say it, Oba Sensei. And Oba Sensei was teaching Takada-Yu Aiki-Jujutsu. His nephew, in tandem, was teaching judo, right? Because you can't do resistance training with Aiki-Jujutsu or with Budo Taijutsu or with Aiki-Jujutsu. And who knew that? Kano Sensei, the founder of judo. He knew that you couldn't do resistance training because the type of movements that you're doing, end up, if you resist, you dislocate your shoulder. So Kano Sensei took certain techniques and found ways to train them fairly safely, right? Fairly safely. I mean, we know that Chuck Norris in judo hurt his back, and that's how he got into Tang Soo Do, Taekwondo, and started his career, right, through doing like jump kicks and stuff like that, and got a movie career. So you can get hurt, but you're less likely to get hurt than trying to do this stuff against a resisting partner. So you can use judo, you can use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but that needs to be a component. That is one of the main big components that you need when you're doing Aikido, when you're doing anything, Koyujitsu, Taijutsu, whatever it is. If you want to be able to use this for self-protection, then that's what you need. It's just like you need some kickboxing if you're doing traditional karate, right? You need to be able to hit and get hit so that, and you need that. Oops. I did a video recently with Blu-rays and DVDs, and they're falling everywhere. But that was me, protecting myself against DVDs and CDs and Blu-rays. So that's basically, I just wanted to put that out there, that you don't really need this type of resistance training for Aikido and everything else unless if you have judo. And judo was also created by Kano with the judoki, right? The judo gi, right? The judo gi, right? Your gi is really thick because if the person didn't have, right, if you're working with a training partner and they're not wearing armor and they're wearing, regular street clothes, maybe they don't have a shirt on or something, you're grabbing flesh, right? And that's painful. So instead of grabbing flesh, you grab the gi, right? And you grab the gi the way that you grab flesh. So it hurts less. Well, I mean, it depends, but it should hurt less, right? It may not hurt at all. Depends on, if you, it can hurt, but it's going to hurt less. You're not going to have these, bruises, fingerprint bruises on your arms, which I've gotten from doing stuff like this. And that's it. And, if you're practicing, Aikido, you have to know how to use it. And one way is that it's not really meant, in my view, to be used against like jabs and cross, right? It was meant to be used against sword, right? Takiori, in the Bujinkan they called it Mutodori. It's wrestling against a sword, or unarmed defense against a sword. You've lost your primary weapon. Someone is coming down on you, really, with an intent to kill. They're not, a professional fighter is kind of, they're not overcommitting their weapons. And when you're in war, I would assume you're probably overcommitting your weapon to cut somebody down. And the idea in Aikido, because that's why they come like this. You go, why are they hitting like that? Well, that's a sword, right? And you kind of move in a spot, right? That's what's supposed to be happening. You're moving into a spot that keeps you safe from the person's sword. And then you do the throw. Now, this is last stitch. I'm sorry. I think I keep moving this and shaking like we're in like we're having an earthquake. But this is a last ditch thing. I mean, on the battlefield, did this work? Yeah, maybe 10% of the time. I don't know. But it was last ditch, and you hoped that it would work for you, right? And that's what you were trying to do. You were just trying to save yourself. So that's kind of the majority. I mean, there's other things you can use Aikido for, but I think Aikido and Hapkido and Taijutsu, most of it is, this idea of defending yourself against a sword or against somebody coming at you full bore, with a primary weapon. Now, where this can work in real life is someone's, if right, action is faster than a reaction. So if someone is coming at you with a haymaker, they're putting everything into it, and you can see it and move in time. That's where some of these, throws and stuff in Aikido really work. And my dad told me, and this is secondhand, but when he was in the service, the black belts in Aikido, the Aikido people, I wouldn't say black belts, I say Aikido, the Aikido people always won the bar fights. Why? Because people in a bar fight are swinging for the rafters, and the Aikido people move. And there's also other things too with Aikido that are not being taught anymore, like atemiwaza, which is striking, which you'll also find in Aiki-Jujutsu. Even the way my dad taught me judo, he taught me more like the Kadayu Aiki-Jujutsu, I believe, right? Because he would always teach. He would open his hands and use slaps, right? Slap, low line kick. So that you're like this, and then he would grab, and then he would go and do the throw. So, and some of those lessons, part of those lessons, like the coming in with the atemiwaza, I didn't really utilize back then. I don't think I had the confidence to do that. So at that point, but some of those old lessons I've re-explored some of the stuff and been like, oh, that's interesting. I was training over here, training this, doing this, and then you start to see some of the stuff and you go, oh, I had already learned that, So anyway, I didn't want, I don't know, maybe I've gone too far with this, but that's basic. I just wanted to put out there that if you want to do resistance training, all you have to do is do judo and some boxing or kickboxing. And then you can do your traditional martial arts. And traditional martial arts have a lot to offer. And there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from them. And there's a lot of stuff that you can employ in principles and stuff. And if you want to do MMA, well, great. I'm not against it. When you're young and you want to go and do this stuff, you want to make sure you don't have catastrophic injuries and concussions and stuff. But it doesn't hurt to get hit. I've been knocking things over again. I've been hit plenty of times, and it's good to get hit. It's good to learn how to take a hit, how to breathe out when you get, kicked in the stomach or something like that, so you don't lose your wind, how to, absorb when you hit the ground, and all that stuff is very important and great and good to do when you're young. When you get older, you can be a little bit more careful with your body. And if you want to do it for a full life, which a lot of us want to do, you want to be a little bit careful. But hey, if you can go make some money doing some MMA or something like that, there's nothing wrong with it. And there's no reason that you can't do both. You don't have to say, well, MMA and that's it, or whatever it is. Judo. I'm just going to do judo. Well, you can do judo and you can do Aikido, and they complement one another. And I just think that we're kind of losing a little bit of something when we say, well, this stuff just doesn't work and your martial arts sucks. Yeah, well, you can add all this stuff. It doesn't hurt to do more than one thing if you have the time. Sure, if you don't have the time, do practical stuff. But you'll learn what's practical in these other martial arts once you get some practical training under your belt, and then you go and you train the stuff. You go, oh, that very well might be something that is good to add to my toolbox. And that's the thing. You can just add all the stuff to your toolbox and use what works for you. So anyway, I figured I'd put this out there. I don't know. We'll see, because this gets I don't like to wade into fights in martial arts because they get very contentious. And but it's fun. It's fun to get in trouble too. So anyway, what do you think about this? Do you think that's correct? Do you think I'm full of crap? I don't know. Tell me in the comments what you think. Do your own video. and tell me what you think. Because, truly, I don't have to do a video for this, right? To tell you, do some judo, add that to your Aikido. You'll be all set. Add some boxing. Great. That's all you need, right? So anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. If you like this content and you want more of it, sure, I'm doing different things here. I'm doing some DVD videos, Blu-ray videos, Dollar Tree, and some tech stuff and martial arts and writing and all this stuff. And hey, listen, if you like writing, you can listen to me at times. I'm not always on, but on KCAA 106.5 FM, 9 p.m., which is a NBC News radio. I don't know if it's call it an affiliate. And also you can check us out, AlanRwarren.com. And we have all sorts of, I don't even know if I want to, I might take this off because I don't want to put people's names for controversial stuff. So I may leave that off. Anyway, thanks for watching.